Here we are at the anniversary of 9/11 and the events of this week that caused, as we just saw in this news, so much outrage around the world. The protests with the Islamic Center in New York, violence against some centers across the country. Step back from all these events and tell us your perspective as you saw these things unfold this week.
Well, 9/11 definitely changed the history of our civilization in a way. The world will never be the same again because of 9/11. But the basic fact is that human beings are creatures of emotionality. We pretend to be intellectual and reasonable or have reasons for what we do, but we bristle with emotions. So everything is emotional at this moment and therefore not rational. 9/11 had nothing to do with the building of what is being called an Islamic Center, not at ground zero, but near ground zero. The Islamic Center is the same as a YMCA. You know, people forget the YMCA is called YMCA because it is the Young Men's Christian Organization. But people can go there from all denominations. And this is exactly what the Islamic Center is going to be like a YMCA. They're going to have a place there for honoring the victims of 9/11, because a number of the victims were also Muslim, but also, you know, Christians and Jews. And Christians, Jews, and Muslims are all called people of the book because they share the same father, Abraham. They're all part of the same family, first cousins, and they all believe in the same book, which came from, you know, the Old Testament. So it's a family feud, and people are still reacting very irrationally, not with reason. 63% of Americans say they know nothing or little about Islam or the Prophet Muhammad, and yet they are against the building of the center, not knowing that the people who want to build the center have been engaged in interfaith dialogue for the last several years. And in fact, our Sufis, which is the reformist part of Islam, we complain there aren't any moderates. Well, these are the moderates, and when they come there, we put them in the same bag as the villains.
So you talk about rationality versus emotionality. How do the reasonable voices prevail in where we are 9 years after 9/11 and with the dialogue that we're hearing and so much heated dialogue? And
I think in a way this whole situation has in fact helped increase and enlarge that dialogue. I'm talking, for example, after the publication of my book, Muhammad, A Story of the Last Prophet, I'm now engaging with Pakistanis and Pakistani rock musicians in New York. We think the best way, because human beings are driven by emotion, is to bring in a cultural exchange, you know, music, food, culture. This is the way to understand that people everywhere in the world are just like us. They're not different. And when we demonize them, that's the only way we can go to war. You cannot kill another person unless you demonize them in your own mind.
And I want to know what went through your mind with the events coming from Florida and the act that was to have happened that apparently isn't going to, with the burning of the Quran.
Well, can you imagine the 1.5 billion people in the world are Muslim, and even if 5% of them are extremists, you enrage them, and so you risk the lives of good, ordinary, innocent Americans across the world, including our own troops in Afghanistan. So it's the most irrational thing that can ever happen, and if it did happen, then the people who do it will have blood on their hands.
Deepak Chopra, thank you so much for talking with us. We appreciate him joining us. Thank you.